to Moving Forward here on Win TV. With me, two gentlemen who are absolutely no strangers to moving forward. I have Deputy Political Leader of the Congress of the People, Dr. Lincoln Douglas, and Mr. Jamal Mohammed, Chairman of the Samoa Barataria constituency, and also COP activist. Yes. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. It is a
nice
joy to be here.
It's great to have you on, and we do have a very heated topic being discussed on this evening's program, and I really hope we have enough time to cover the major issues and the major points. Although at the rate that things have been going, I don't think one show is going to be enough, really, to cover the major issues. The mayor of San Fernando, was she appointed as a COP member? Was it promised to the COP as part of the Faizabad Accord that the COP will get the mayor of San Fernando? Is it a power struggle? These are all of the questions that are being asked by the laymen, the people on the ground. And contrary to the media reports after Wednesday's meeting of the leaders, we'd like to reiterate on today's show that no decision was made. That meeting ended unresolved. So the COP has not capitulated. They have not lost any points. They haven't lost their argument that the mayor of San Fernando should be a COP member. And these are some of the topics that I think we're going to be discussing tonight with Dr. Douglas and Mr. Mohammed. Dr. Douglas, as the Deputy Political Leader of the Congress of the People, just give us a little highlight as to what exactly is this? Is this a power struggle, or is this just standing up for what is right?
Well, this is about a breach of the principles of an arrangement between partners. As all would agree, we are in a partnership. The nature of a partnership is that it is based on trust. If it wasn't based on, in addition to trust, we do have a document that tells us how we should behave as partners. As part of that, the document tells us how we should behave, and the verbal agreement that we came to was that in the deciding factor of the partnership, there were certain agreements about who get what. That is understandable. Who will get what, who will be here, who will have this seat, who will get the mayor. These are understandable things in a partnership. And one of those agreements was that we should, the COP should have the mayor of San Fernando. That is a simple arrangement. And the simplicity of the arrangement is that to the extent that the person there in that position no longer is a member of the COP, we feel that the agreement before us, COP should have the mayorship, should remain. But I think that the actual position of the mayorship and who the person is secondary to the real issue of what exists between partners. You must understand, you cannot have a partners in a relationship, and the trust is broken down. And not only is the trust broken down, but the very action that broke the trust is about decreasing, or it is about impacting on the other partner. So there is two things that's happening. You're breaking the trust, and you're creating an aggressive act towards the person, towards the other partner. And the question is, how can you retain a partnership? How can you retain working together with somebody who you feel is actively diminishing you, actively working for your demise, and at the same time violating the principles on which you came together? And this is the kind of, I think that is what the COP is really dealing with. That's what we are dealing with, as opposed to the concepts of whether it's this person or whether who is poaching over. These are the fundamentals of relationship. Can we trust you? Can we trust you? And are you going to continue doing things to rub us out or try to diminish us?
But if I may, Dr. Douglas, I agree with all that you're saying there about the level of trust that must exist between partners. But I want to take it to an individual level, Mayor Marlene Kudry. We remember her as candidate in 2007. She was a surprise candidate for the COP in the 2007 general election. So she must have joined the COP way back then. 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, all that has passed and all that has happened. But when the local government elections took place in 2010, there was the understanding that, as you said, that the person, that if the People's Partnership wins the San Fernando City Corporation, the mayor must be a member of the COP. And Miss Marlene Kudre was nominated to be mayor of San Fernando because she was a COP member back then in 2010. And that's something very important. At all times, I think she's still a member of the COP. Lo and behold, we heard recently, she's now a member of the UNC, and she went up to be deputy political leader of that party. That's her right. We are entitled to follow any political party according to the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. But it says a lot about the individual. How do you operate like that? What kind of individual are you offering to the country, where on the one hand you say you are a member of a party, then you have resigned from a party, you never told anybody you have resigned. So it's a very ticklish issue at a personal level, and it says a lot about the lady, Mayor Marlene Kudre.
I see we have two important points. Dr. Douglas, you raised that the individual is secondary to one of the key issues. It's a partnership. You must have trust. You must have equality in a partnership. Not because one party holds a surplus of seats in the partnership and the other members are, just to use this word loosely, a minority, does not mean that there is no equality. A partnership, you're all supposed to be equal in that standing. And Mr. Mohammed, you're saying at some point, some extent, it is about the individual.
Yes,
it's just an individual you can trust. It still goes back to the trust and the integrity that stands for that individual. Someone who I know personally walked the streets in San Fernando and campaigned with the COP in July, pre-July for the general and local government elections in 2010 under the COP banner. And then 1 week before, 2 weeks before the UNC internal elections this year, proclaims to be a UNC member. So two very important angles to be looked at. Dr. Douglas, going back to the media statement and the media cry that came out Wednesday evening, I know the headline startled me Wednesday evening when I heard COP loses their point in the discussions of the People's Partnership, when we do know that our political leader has not capitulated.
Yeah, well, we have to understand the nature of the media in that they look for the exciting headlines, which really generates their sales. But the substantive matter is this. One is that the COP is still committed. We are committed to the partnership. We feel a sense of responsibility for the partnership. We feel that is what people voted for a partnership. And we feel a sense of commitment. We feel that this partnership was brought into being at a great sacrifice of our political leader at that point in time, Mr. Winston Dukaran, and at the great sacrifice of our party. And so we feel responsible for it, and we're committed to that. Secondly, we now know that all of the parties have agreed that there was a breach of trust and that a wrong was done to the COP. They have all agreed on that. Whereas in the early, they were making fun and trying to pretend that nothing happened. Now we know the leader of the UNC and the Prime Minister has agreed that there has been a breach of trust and a violation of the agreement that we had. So that is a victory for us as a political party. But it's not only a victory for us, it's a victory for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because the Congress of the People stands as a defense against the tyranny of the majority. That not because there is majority, you will take advantage of the other partners. We also stand together because we know that none of us could win this election without the other. And so in that regard, we've all become equal players in this field once we are in government. And so for us, it's a victory for our stand that we take as a political party, and it's a victory for the people of Trinidad and Tobago that the partnership will continue.
And then to get back again at the individual level, Kavita, the correct thing to do as an individual is for Ms. Kudre to step down as mayor of San Fernando, because she's now a member of the UNC and she's no longer a member of the COP, and let us put there a member of the COP to be the mayor. That's the correct thing politically, and if you're studying about morality in public affairs and integrity, and that is the correct thing for her to do. And we were hoping, I was hoping at least, that she would have done the honorable thing and stepped down. But it seemed as though we will have to wait and see how that plays out.
Mr. Mohammed, as a COP activist, I know that you work on a daily basis with members of the public, not only COP members, but members of the public generally. What would you say is the word on the ground, the feeling on the ground, especially in this last week, as to what the people think about the situation? Do you think it's all long, drawn out, or are they really taking it seriously?
The people understand what the political leader of the COP has said and what he is standing for. It's a correct principle. We must always try to do what is right and aim for perfection in everything that we do. The people on the ground are saying to hold the fort COP because they recognize that the COP has become the conscience of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and we will always stand for what is right. We must always stand for what you believe in, even if you have to stand alone. And we are standing firm on this matter because we know this is the correct thing to do, and the people on the ground agree with our political leader, Mr. Prakash Ramadan.
I think that's one of the positive feedbacks that we have been getting. The people finally understand where the COP is coming from. Yeah. It's not about power, but it's about standing up for what you agreed on, and the support is there. Dr. Douglas, you liken this discussion into a partnership as it is. There will be ups and downs. There was a written agreement, a verbal agreement. I know colleagues of mine have referred to this as a marriage. There are ups and downs in every marriage, and every coalition we've seen in other governments. There are ups and downs. You're not always going to agree on everything. And
in a lot of ways, people have been saying that the Congress of the People have been, recapitulating on issues. But we also understand that even in solving issues and moving forward, there has to be, the Prime Minister spoke a lot about compromise. I think she herself recognizes that it makes no sense pushing an issue at the expense of everything, And so we are working hard always at saving the partnership, and we are also working to save the trust of that the people placed in government and in governance. So even if it comes to having to make some form of compromise, we're prepared to do that. But once we've had the major issue dealt with, and that is that everyone agrees that the COP has been wrong, and secondly, it is not only good to say you did a wrong thing or repent, you must make restitution. If you've hurt somebody or you've stolen something, you have to pay it back. And so I think the Prime Minister and the leader of the UNC has to find a meaningful way to make restitution, to repay back a wrong that has happened.
And looking ahead, Kavita, looking ahead, we have now entered a new era of coalition politics in Trinidad and Tobago. And part of coalition politics is that different people come together with different ideas and ideology. So you will always have differences. The essence is that you must always be in dialogue, you must be willing to compromise, and there must be consensus. And once the leaders continue to talk on a regular basis and work on their principles and compromise and let there be consensus, we shall move forward.
I'm glad that you discussed compromise and mediation and continuing discussions. And one of the main things that I think we need to clarify and let the public know, when the statements are made that the Prime Minister cannot make someone resign, the Prime Minister cannot do this, in these discussions, the Honorable Prime Minister is attending these meetings not as the Prime Minister, but as the political leader of one of the parties that forms the partnership.
Right.
And I think that is a key point that we need to remind the members of the public.
The things that we do, for example, the mayor is an alderman, and we all know that we're not playing around here with politics with people and trying to feel that we can outsmart the population. All of the mayors were chosen by the political parties, and they were chosen based on an agreement. We directed our local government councillors how to vote, so that we can have a mayor or the chairman of a corporation. All of us know that this is no trick or anything. We're not trying to fool the population. So it really takes political will and organization in order to do what you have to do. So these are just fairy tale arguments that people like to bring up in order to feel that they can bamboozle and outsmart the population when the reality and the truth of the thing is always right before us. But we are not of that order. We're not trying to bamboozle the population. We speak the truth and we speak it ever, cause it what it will, as they may say. And the truth of the situation is that we direct the Prime Minister or the leader of the parties have an opportunity to direct how they want this thing to go. And that's what we've been working with. It's nothing new.
In the discussions that have been taking place, what do you think, your opinion on this point? are the Prime Minister's options? As the leader of the United National Congress, what do you think her options are at this point in time, if you would like to comment on that?
Well, I think restitution has to be made. Restitution means there has to be a meaningful a dialogue about, I mean, even if you want to say that you don't want to remove the mayor or whatever it is, what we're looking for and what we're asking for as a member of the COP is that tangible positions that could impact on the lives of people be dealt with. What we're talking about is that all the members of parliament and all the people who represent the people should have equal access to making sure that their community and their constituencies and the people that depend on them have that opportunity to meet their needs. And that is what we're hoping that this dialogue will do, and this constant discussion between the chairman. Remember, before this, COP had called for dialogue between the leaders, and one of the things on the table was the issue of fairness, equity, and the equitable distribution of goods and resources. And we hope that this discussion that comes out of this will be an opportunity for all to begin to look at this whole country and have an equitable and meaningful distribution of the goods and services of the country.
But Dr. Douglas, I am still hoping against hope that Mayor Marlene Coudray will do the correct thing. The correct thing to do is to step down and let a COP member be appointed as mayor. We're hoping it will hit her, let her realize that, because as far as I'm concerned, as a member of the COP, she is still a member of the COP because she has not formally resigned from our party. So it's a problem she will have to deal with. I don't know how she can sleep at night, but I'm hoping against hope that we'll get up one morning and find out that she's stepping down as mayor of San Fernando and giving way to a COP member.
I think that's one thing all COP members are hoping for at this point in time. We go for a break. When we come back, we reiterate the COP's position in this situation, and we open our phone lines for your phone calls.